The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council sparkled with artificial light, its crystal walls reflecting the faces of 100 alien species. At the center of it all, the three ruling races sat on their elevated platforms, looking down at the lesser species with barely hidden contempt. Captain Robert Mills stood in his quarters aboard the UES Prometheus, watching the Council's latest broadcast. His weathered face showed no emotion as the Zurian representative, with its blue-tinted skin and 4 eyes, spoke about peace and unity. After 20 years of watching these broadcasts, Mills knew it was all lies. "Captain to the bridge," the ship's AI announced, breaking his concentration. Mills straightened his dark blue uniform and walked through the gleaming corridors of humanity's first true battleship. The Prometheus was a marvel of engineering, but to the rest of the galaxy, it didn't exist. Earth had spent 30 years building it in secret, hidden from the prying eyes of the Council's peace observers. The bridge hummed with quiet activity as he entered. Lieutenant Amy Foster looked up from her sensor station, her red hair tied back in a neat bun. "Captain, we're picking up some interesting chatter from the Kravel Border Patrol." "Show me," Mills ordered, settling into his command chair. The main screen lit up with intercepted communications. The Kravel, a species of tall, muscular aliens with ridge-lined faces, were demanding protection fees from a group of merchant ships. It was the same old story. The Council's peacekeepers acting more like pirates. "Sir," Commander David Cooper spoke up from his tactical station. "High Command's orders just came through. We're authorized to move beyond Sol's boundary." Mills nodded slowly. For 3 decades, Earth had refused to join the Galactic Council, claiming they needed time to develop their civilization properly. In truth, they had been preparing, watching, learning how the Council kept the peace through fear and corruption. The Prometheus was massive compared to most ships in known space, while the Council banned military vessels over a certain size, claiming they were too destabilizing. Earth had built something far larger. The ship stretched nearly a kilometer in length, its black hull covered in stealth plating that made it almost invisible to standard sensors. "Engineering reports all systems ready," Chief Engineer Ryan Brooks called over the comm. "The new shield generators are operating at full capacity." Mills stood up, clasping his hands behind his back. This was the moment humanity had been waiting for. "All hands, battle stations. Lieutenant Foster, plot a course to the edge of Sol's space." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. They had trained for years in secret, preparing for the day when humanity would finally show itself to the galaxy. Not as the primitive species the Council thought they were, but as a force ready to challenge the corrupt peace. Through the main viewport, Earth grew smaller behind them. The Prometheus's engines hummed with power that would have made the Council's scientists gasp. They had learned to harness zero-point energy while pretending to still struggle with fusion power. The deception had been long and careful. "Approaching Sol boundary," Foster announced. "Council border beacon ahead." The beacon was a simple device, meant to track all ships entering or leaving Earth's solar system. Like all Council technology, it was designed to keep primitive species in their place. "Activate the Phantom Drive," Mills ordered. The ship's special engines engage, creating a bubble of warped space that would hide them from the beacon's sensors. Another piece of technology that Earth had developed in secret while pretending to be barely able to reach Mars. As they passed the beacon, Mills thought about the reports they'd gathered over the years. The Nexi, forced to pay heavy taxes for peacekeeping services. The Volteri, whose colony was relocated when valuable minerals were found on their world. The Tarsan, whose technology was declared too dangerous and confiscated, leaving them dependent on Council supplies. "We're clear of the beacon," Foster reported. "No sign they detected us." Mills allowed himself a small smile. "Send word to Earth Command. Operation Daybreak is underway." The false peace of the Galactic Council was about to be shattered. Humanity had watched long enough as the strong preyed on the weak under the guise of civilization. The Prometheus wasn't just a battleship, it was a revolution waiting to happen. Plot a course to the Nexi trade routes, Mills ordered. It's time to introduce ourselves to the galaxy. Behind them, Earth's sun grew distant, but its light still gleamed on the Prometheus's hull. Humanity's first battleship moved silently through the stars, carrying with it the potential for both destruction and liberation. The peace of corruption and control was about to end, and a new chapter in galactic history was about to begin. Lieutenant Amy Foster stared at her sensor display aboard the Prometheus, her eyes narrowing at an unusual signal. "Captain Mills, I'm picking up a distress call. It's from a Nexi merchant ship." The bridge crew tensed. After 3 weeks of hidden observation, this would be their first real contact with alien species outside Earth's solar system. "Play it," Mills ordered, his voice steady. A desperate alien voice filled the bridge. "To any ships nearby. Kravel peacekeepers demanding payment. We cannot pay again. Our children will starve." Mills stood from his command chair. "Show me the situation." The main screen lit up, showing 3 sleek Kravel warships surrounding a bulky merchant vessel. The merchant ship's hull was painted with swirling patterns typical of Nexi art, but scorch marks from warning shots marred its beauty. "The Kravel ships are charging weapons," Commander Cooper reported from Tactical. "Their shields are minimal. They're not expecting any real resistance." Mills walked to the front of the bridge, studying the scene. This was exactly the kind of bullying Earth had watched for years through their secret observation posts. The Council called it maintaining order. Everyone else called it extortion. "Battle stations," Mills ordered quietly. "Lieutenant Foster, plot and intercept course. Mr. Cooper, ready weapons but keep them powered down. Let's see how brave these peacekeepers are when someone stands up to them." The Prometheus glided forward, its massive black hull finally becoming visible to normal sensors. At nearly a kilometer long, it dwarfed the Kravel ships. The reaction was immediate. "Captain, we're being hailed," Foster announced. "Put them through." A Kravel commander appeared on screen, his ridge-lined face twisted in surprise and anger. "Unknown vessel, this is a peaceful law enforcement operation. Remove yourself from the area immediately." Mills smiled slightly. "This is Captain Robert Mills of the Earth ship Prometheus. We received a distress call. Is there a problem here?" The Kravel's eyes widened at the mention of Earth. "Earth? Your species is not authorized for interstellar travel. Return to your system at once, or face the consequences." "We're authorized by our own government," Mills replied calmly. "And we're concerned about your treatment of this merchant vessel. Perhaps we could discuss proper compensation for your peacekeeping services." The Kravel commander's face darkened. "This is your final warning. Leave now, or what?" Mills interrupted. "You'll show us how the Council maintains peace. Lieutenant Foster, power up our forward shields. Let's show them what Earth has been working on during our isolation." The Prometheus's shield generators hummed to life, creating a barrier of energy that made the Kravel's sensors screech in alarm. Their readings showed power levels far beyond anything the Council had ever seen. "Impossible," the Kravel commander sputtered. "Those energy readings, you're violating dozens of Council regulations." "Funny thing about those regulations," Mills said. "They only apply to Council members. Earth never signed your treaties. Now I suggest you leave these merchants alone, or we'll be forced to demonstrate exactly why Earth chose to remain independent." The Kravel ships began backing away slowly. Their sensors were telling them things that shouldn't be possible, power readings that violated the laws of physics as they knew them. "This isn't over," the Kravel commander snarled. "The Council will hear of this." The transmission cut off abruptly. Mills watched as the Kravel ships fled, their engines glowing as they pushed to maximum speed. "Open a channel to the merchant vessel." The screen showed a Nexi captain, their silver-scaled face showing both fear and wonder. "Earth vessel, you saved us. But the Council, they will not be pleased." "Let them come," Mills replied. "We've watched long enough. It's time someone stood up to them." After exchanging coordinates for future contact, the merchant ship departed, carrying word of Earth's dramatic arrival to the stars. Back on the bridge, Foster turned to Mills. "Sir, the Kravol are sending encrypted transmissions to their high command. A lot of them." Mills nodded. "As expected. Send word to Earth Command. First contact successful, but we've definitely stirred up the hornet's nest." He paused, looking at the stars on the main screen. The Council wanted peace at any cost. Now they'll learn that true peace can't be built on fear and corruption. The Prometheus hung in space, its dark hull reflecting distant starlight. The first shot in humanity's quiet revolution had been fired, not with weapons, but with the simple act of saying no to tyranny. The galaxy was about to change, whether the Council liked it or not. The Council chamber on Station Alpha 1 buzzed with angry voices. Hundreds of alien representatives argued as news of the Prometheus spread through the galaxy. At the center of the storm stood Commander David Cooper and Earth's Ambassador Diana Wells, facing the furious Council leaders. The Xerian High Speaker, with all four of its eyes glowing red with anger, pointed at the human delegates. "You dare to hide military technology. Your ship is an illegal weapon." Ambassador Wells, a tall woman with steel-gray hair, stepped forward. She carried a simple data tablet, loaded with 30 years of evidence. "Illegal, like the bribes you take from the Kravol, or the weapons you secretly sell to crush smaller species." The chamber fell silent. On the massive screens above, images began to play. They showed Kravol ships attacking peaceful merchants, Council members accepting payments in dark corridors, Mechthar scientists testing weapons they had claimed were destroyed. "Impossible," the Mechthar representative screeched, his metallic skin reflecting the damning images. "How did you get these recordings?" Earth wasn't just sitting quietly in its solar system, Hooper explained, his voice carrying through the chamber. "We were watching, learning, gathering proof of your corruption." New shapes appeared at the chamber's entrance, representatives from dozens of smaller species. The Nexity captain saved by the Prometheus stood among them. "The humans speak truth," the Nexity captain declared. "We have suffered under your peace for too long." Ambassador Wells activated her tablet again. "The Prometheus isn't a weapon of war. It's a shield for those you abuse. Earth refuses to watch silently anymore." The Kravol war leader slammed his fist on his podium. "You have no right. Submit your ship for decommission, or face the consequences." Cooper smiled slightly. "The Prometheus is just the beginning. Earth has more ships. Many more, hidden and ready." Gasps filled the chamber. The Council's 3 dominant species huddled together, whispering urgently. They had built their power on keeping other species weak and dependent. A strong Earth, helping smaller species stand up for themselves, threatened everything. "This is your final warning," the Xerian High Speaker announced. "Surrender your illegal technology, or be declared enemies of galactic peace." Ambassador Wells looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of the smaller species representatives. "We choose neither. Instead, we offer a choice to all species tired of living under your boot. Join us. Learn to defend yourselves. Build a real peace based on respect, not fear." "Traitors," the Mechthar representative shrieked. "Guards, arrest them." But the Council's guards didn't move. Many were from the same smaller species that Earth now offered to protect. They stood still, watching as history changed before them. Cooper's communicator beeped. "Ambassador," he whispered, "the Prometheus reports 6 Kravol battle cruisers just dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the station." Wells nodded calmly. "Right on schedule." She raised her voice. "Before you try to threaten us further, look at your tactical displays." The chamber's main screen changed, showing space around the station. Behind the Kravol ships, 3 more massive shapes appeared. Earth battleships, each as large as the Prometheus, decloaked one by one. "As we said," Wells continued, "the Prometheus isn't alone. Earth has been preparing for this day for a long time. Now we can talk about real peace, or you can learn exactly how much technology we've been hiding." The council leaders stared at the screen in shock. Their perfect system of control was falling apart. Already, smaller species were gathering around the human delegates, ready to form new alliances. "You'll regret this," the Kravol war leader growled. "This isn't over." "You're right," Cooper agreed. "It's just beginning. The day of bullies forcing their will on others is ending. A new age is starting, one where every species has the right to protect itself." The council chamber erupted in chaos as more representatives of smaller species stood up, moving to stand with the humans. Outside, Earth's battleships hung in space like dark stars, their presence announcing to the galaxy that the old order was ending. The false peace was over. Real change, with all its danger and hope, was finally coming to the stars. Chief Engineer Ryan Brooks wiped sweat from his forehead as he looked at the engine room of the Nexi cargo ship. The alien technology was different from Earth's, but the problems were the same. "Your power core is running at half strength," he explained to the Nexi engineer. "We can fix that." Around them, Earth technicians worked with alien crews, sharing knowledge that the Council had kept secret for centuries. The Prometheus's hangar bay had become a school for revolution. "The Council told us these improvements were impossible," the Nexi engineer said, his silver scales shimmering under the work lights. "They said our ships would explode if we tried to upgrade them." Brooks laughed. "They lied. Watch this." His fingers flew over the control panel, making adjustments. The engine's quiet hum turned into a strong, steady pulse. "There. You've got twice the power now, and your fuel consumption is cut in half." On the Prometheus's bridge, Security Officer Lisa Martinez frowned at her screens. "Captain, we've got trouble. Just intercepted another assassination plot. They're targeting Ambassador Wells at the next meeting." Captain Mills nodded grimly. "Third attempt this week. The Council's getting desperate. Double the security teams and alert our new allies." The past week had been busy. 27 species had joined Earth's alliance. Each brought their own ships, technology, and determination to fight back against the Council's control. The Prometheus wasn't just a battleship anymore. It was the center of a growing revolution. In the ship's main training room, First Officer John Baker watched his crews from 5 different species practiced combat simulations. The Council had kept them weak by preventing military training. Now they learned quickly, eager to defend themselves. "Better," Baker called out as a Volteri crew successfully defended against a simulated attack. "Remember, you don't need fancy weapons. Smart tactics and teamwork beat raw power every time." A young Tarsan pilot raised her hand. "But what if the Council brings their whole fleet? They have thousands of ships." "Numbers aren't everything," Baker explained. "Look at Earth. We stayed hidden, built our strength, and waited for the right moment. Now we're teaching you everything we learned." In his private workshop, Brooks studied the designs brought by their allies. Each species had developed unique solutions to problems, finding ways around the Council's restrictions. Combined with Earth's advanced technology, they were creating something new. "Try it now," he told the Dendrian engineer, pointing to their modified shield generator. The device hummed to life, creating a barrier stronger than anything the Council had. "See, your crystal technology plus our power systems. Together, we're stronger." Martinez's voice came over the ship's comm. "All hands, battle stations. Council ships detected near the Volteri colony." The Prometheus's crew moved with practiced speed, but they weren't alone anymore. Ships from 7 allied species formed up around the Earth battleship, ready to defend their friends. "This is what they feared," Mills said as he watched the allied fleet gather. "Not just our technology, but species working together as equals." The Council fleet appeared, dropping out of faster-than-light travel. They expected to find weak, frightened planets ready to be bullied back into line. Instead, they faced a united force of ships, crews trained by Earth, using technology the Council had tried to suppress. All ships, defensive formation, Mills ordered. "Remember your training. We're not here to start a war. We're here to prevent one." The Council fleet hesitated. Their sensors showed familiar ships, but with power readings that should have been impossible. The smaller species they had oppressed for so long were no longer helpless. "They're retreating," Martinez reported as the Council ships turned away. "Looks like they don't want to test our upgrades." Brooks smiled as he watched the Allies celebrate their first victory. In 1 week, they had achieved more than the Council had allowed in centuries. Earth's revolution wasn't just about fighting. It was about teaching, sharing, and growing stronger together. "Send word to Earth," Mills ordered. "Tell them Phase 4 is complete. The Alliance is real, and it's growing stronger every day." The Prometheus hung in space, surrounded by ships of different shapes and sizes. Each had been modified, upgraded, and crewed by people who finally had the chance to stand up for themselves. The Council's perfect control was breaking, replaced by something much more powerful: hope. The attack came without warning. Lieutenant Eric Walsh was on tactical duty when the first Crovel warships appeared around the Nexi colony. "Captain Mills, 30 Council ships just dropped out of light speed." The Prometheus's bridge erupted into action. "Sound battle stations," Mills ordered. "Where are our Allied ships?" "The Volteri defense fleet is 8 minutes out," Walsh reported. 3 Earth battleships are responding, but they're 15 minutes away." The main screen showed the Crovel fleet spreading out in an attack pattern. Behind them, sleek Mechthar science vessels moved into position. The Council had finally decided to show its true power. "Sir," Foster called from her station, "the Mechthar ships are powering up something big. Energy readings are off the charts." Mills gripped his chair. "Those are the weapons they claimed they destroyed. Shields at maximum. Get me a channel to the Crovel commander." The alien's ridge-lined face appeared on screen, sneering. "No talks this time. Human. The Council has ordered your destruction. Surrender now, and we'll spare your alien friends." "You mean your slaves?" Mills shot back. "Not happening. We knew you'd show your true colors eventually." The Crovel commander snarled and cut the transmission. Seconds later, the first shots streaked across space. Walsh's hands flew over his tactical console. Years of secret training paid off as he guided the Prometheus through the enemy fire. "Their targeting systems are predictable," he called out. "They've never fought anyone who could fight back properly." The massive Earth battleship moved with surprising grace. While the Council ships followed standard attack patterns, Walsh used tricks developed during Earth's long isolation. The Prometheus seemed to dance between enemy shots. "Mechthar weapon powering up," Foster warned. "Energy spike." A beam of pure destruction shot from the Lid Mechthar ship. It hit the Prometheus's shields and splashed harmlessly away. "Impossible." The Mechthar commander's voice crackled over the comm. "Those shields can't be that strong." Mills smiled. "You thought you knew everything about defensive technology. You were wrong. Mr. Walsh, show them what Earth can really do." The Prometheus's main gun spoke, not the simple energy weapons the Council used, but concentrated beams of zero-point energy that cut through enemy shields like paper. 3 Crovel ships spun away, their engines dead. "Allied ships arriving," Foster announced happily. The Volteri fleet dropped out of light speed, their ships newly upgraded with Earth technology. They moved in perfect formation, using tactics learned from John Baker's training sessions. "Look at their faces," Walsh said, as the enemy commanders appeared on screen. They never expected their primitive subjects to fight so well. The battle turned quickly. Council ships, used to bullying weaker vessels, found themselves facing trained crews with superior technology. The Mechthar's secret weapons proved useless against shields built with combined Earth and alien knowledge. "They're targeting the colony," Foster shouted suddenly. Mechthar ships moving into bombardment position. "Not on my watch," Mills growled. "All ships, execute pattern Delta." The Prometheus and its allies moved as one. While the Volteri ships engaged the Crovel, Earth's battleships slipped through the chaos. Walsh's targeting computers locked onto the Mechthar vessels. Fire. The Prometheus's main guns fired again. This time, the beams struck with surgical precision, disabling the Mechthar weapons without destroying the ships. Enemy fleet is retreating, Walsh reported, trying to hide his grin. They've had enough. The Kravel commander appeared one last time. This isn't over. The Council will not tolerate. The Council just lost, Mills interrupted. You brought your best weapons and your biggest fleet. You failed. Think about that on your way home. As the Council ships fled, cheers erupted from the colony below. The people they had come to terrorize were celebrating instead. Send word to all Allied worlds, Mills ordered. The Council just showed everyone that the peace was a lie, but they also showed something else. They can be beaten. The Prometheus hung in space, its dark hull marked with minor battle damage but still proud. Around it, Allied ships formed up in a victory formation. The Council had started this fight, hoping to crush the rebellion quickly. Instead, they had just shown the galaxy that their power wasn't absolute. Earth's revolution was no longer just a diplomatic problem. Now it was a war, and the Council had already lost their advantage of fear. Communications Officer Karen Phillips sat at her station on the Prometheus, her fingers moving quickly over the controls. Captain, we're ready to broadcast. The past week's events had given them everything they needed. Hidden cameras had recorded the Council's secret weapons. Intercepted messages revealed orders to attack civilian targets. Now it was time to show the galaxy the truth. Send it to every world, every station, every ship with a working receiver, Captain Mills ordered. The Council can't hide anymore. Across the galaxy, screens lit up. The Council's carefully controlled information networks were overwhelmed by Earth's broadcast. Everyone saw the proof. Secret weapons, corrupt deals, and plans to keep smaller species weak and dependent. Sir, Foster called from her station. Multiple uprisings reported. The Dendrians have taken control of their space stations. The Volteri fleet is moving to protect them. More reports flooded in. Species that had suffered under Council rule for centuries were finally fighting back. Earth's success had given them courage, and Earth's training had given them the ability to win. On the main screen, they watched as the Nexi merchant fleet, now armed with defensive weapons, drove Kravel peacekeepers from their trade routes. The Tarsan, their ships upgraded with Earth technology, reclaimed colonies that the Council had stolen from them. Message from Earth Command, Phillips announced. The rest of the fleet is moving. All 20 Earth battleships are now revealed and supporting Allied worlds. Mills nodded. For 30 years, Earth had built its fleet in secret. Now those ships emerged from hidden bases throughout the galaxy, each one ready to protect newly freed worlds. The Council's communications are in chaos, Phillips reported with a smile. The Zirian are blaming the Mechthar for the leaked information. The Kravel are threatening both of them. The Council's perfect system was falling apart. Without fear holding them together, the three dominant species turned on each other. Centuries of secrets and lies were coming to light. Captain, Foster interrupted. Emergency signal from Ambassador Wells. The Mechthar are trying to destroy evidence at their main research base. They're purging computer cores and eliminating witnesses. Not this time, Mills said firmly. Signal the fleet. The Prometheus will lead the attack. Within minutes, Earth's flagship led a force of Allied ships toward the Mechthar base. The Council species had always fought separately, proud and arrogant. Now they faced ships from 12 different species, all working together, all using combined technology that surpassed anything the Council had. They're powering up their defense grid, Walsh reported from Tactical. But we got their codes, thanks to our allies who used to work there. The battle was short. The Mechthar, caught trying to hide their crimes, found themselves facing ships piloted by the same people they had oppressed. Their defenses fell quickly. Teams are securing the base, Martins reported from security. The Mechthar didn't have time to destroy everything. We've got proof of every illegal weapon they developed, every test they ran on civilian populations. Phillips broadcast this new evidence immediately. Across the galaxy, the last doubters saw the truth. The Council hadn't just failed to keep peace. They had actively worked to create conflict they could solve with their peacekeeping forces. "Sir," Foster said quietly, "reports coming in from the core worlds. The Xerian population is rioting. They're demanding their leaders step down. The Kravel military is splitting apart. Half their fleet is refusing to fight for the Council." The revolution wasn't just spreading. It was winning. The Council's own people were rejecting their lies. "Message from the Allied fleet commanders," Phillips announced. "They're ready to move on the Council capital. They're asking for the Prometheus to lead the way." Mills looked around his bridge. His crew had trained for years for this moment. They had helped create an alliance of equals, taught others to defend themselves, and shown the galaxy that real peace came from cooperation, not control. "Send word to all ships," he ordered. "Set course for the Council capital. It's time to end this." The Prometheus turned toward its final battle, no longer alone. Behind it flew hundreds of ships from dozens of species, all united in the cause of true freedom. The Council's false peace was over, destroyed by the very weapons they had tried to keep secret. Real peace, built on trust and mutual respect, would take its place. The revolution that started with one Earth battleship was about to change the galaxy forever. The Council Capital Station hung in space like a giant crystal flower, its spires glittering in the light of 3 suns. But today, those spires were surrounded by ships. Hundreds of them, from every species that had ever suffered under Council rule. Captain Robert Mills stood on the Prometheus's bridge, watching as the combined fleet took position. "Status report," he ordered. "Council defenses are active," Lieutenant Walsh reported, "but half their fleet has surrendered. The rest are in disarray." The massive screen showed Council ships fighting each other. The Kravel and Mekthar blamed each other for their defeat. The Xerian tried to play peacemaker, but no one trusted them anymore. "Message from inside the station," Communications Officer Phillips announced. "The Council's own staff is rebelling. They've opened the defense shield gates." Mills nodded. "All ships, move in. Remember, we're here to create peace, not destroy. Target weapons and engines only." The Prometheus led the way, its dark hull now bearing proud battle scars. Behind it came ships of all sizes and shapes, each one representing a species that had chosen freedom over forced peace. "Sir," Foster called out, "the Council leaders are trying to escape through their private docks." "Not this time," Mills said firmly. "Lieutenant Walsh, disable their ships. Security teams, prepare to board." The battle was brief. Council ships, designed to bully weaker vessels, stood no chance against the combined fleet. Earth's battleships targeted their engines while Allied vessels moved in to capture the leaders. Inside the station, Ambassador Wells led the diplomatic team into the Council chamber. The Great Hall, once a place where the powerful judged the weak, now held representatives from every species in the galaxy. "The old Council is finished," Wells announced, her voice carrying through the vast space. "It's time to build something better." The next hours were busy. Security teams led by Martinez found secret archives full of evidence, records of crimes spanning centuries. The Council leaders, caught trying to flee with stolen wealth, were brought back to face justice. "Captain," Phillips called from her station. "Incoming transmission. The Kravel war leader wants to surrender formally to Earth." Mills shook his head. "Tell him we don't accept surrenders. He can surrender to the new Galactic Assembly. All species together, as equals." Engineers from Earth and a dozen allied worlds worked to transform the Council station. The raised platforms where Council leaders had looked down on others were torn out. Instead, they built a circular chamber where all representatives sat at the same level. "Message from Earth Command," Phillips reported. "They're asking about our next assignment." Mills smiled. "Tell them the Prometheus has a new job. We're not here to rule or control. We're here to protect the peace, Real peace this time. In the new assembly chamber, Ambassador Wells and representatives from all species signed the Galactic Charter of Rights. Every world would have the right to defend itself. No technology would be restricted. No species would be called primitive or inferior. The Council kept peace through fear and lies, Wells told the gathered beings. We'll keep it through trust and truth. Chief Engineer Brooks, working with alien engineers, helped create a new defense network. Not to control, but to protect. The combined knowledge of dozens of species, working together, produced technology far beyond what the Council had hoarded. Look at this, Foster said softly, showing sensor readings of ships throughout the galaxy. Everywhere, former enemies were meeting as equals. Trade routes reopened. Cultural exchanges began. Real friendships formed between species. The Prometheus patrolled these new trade routes, its presence a reminder that freedom needed protection. But it wasn't alone anymore. Ships from every species joined in the patrols, each crew bringing their own skills and knowledge. Captain, Phillips called one last time. Final report from Earth Command. All former Council worlds are stable. The new assembly is functioning. They say we did it. Mills looked around his bridge, at the crew that had started this revolution. Then he looked at the screens showing the changed galaxy, free, united, and truly peaceful for the first time. No, he said quietly. We all did it, together. The Prometheus turned gracefully, heading out to patrol the stars. Earth's battleship had appeared and shattered a false peace. But from those broken pieces, something much better had grown. A galaxy where every voice was heard, where strength came from unity, and where real peace was protected by all. The old order was gone. The new one, built on hope instead of fear, was just beginning.